Okay, shall we hit it off?
Let's do it.
Okay, let's go.
It's the boys back in Rocket League, chatting shit, discussing life-changing topics. Today's theme is AI. We briefly touched upon that in our last episode, where we discussed AI and what we think about it. But we decided that it's worth dedicating a whole 1 hour plus episode to go over our topics for today. So before we do that, let's play competitive 3v3.
We know you're all dying to hear our thoughts and views on this.
Yes.
It's a long requested subject.
We're talking to you directly, one listener.
Yeah, Davis.
Yeah.
Just David. Shout
out to
Davis
Davis, yeah. Shout out to Davis in Toronto. You know who you are. Yeah, so basically we are all fascinated by AI, I think, for slightly different reasons. Some of us are paranoid that AI is going to destroy us. Others have actually used AI, have no such considerations.
Shots fired.
Yes. Yeah, so I figured I should start this one off. I'm not sure. Actually, Dave, have you used AI? I mean, have you developed AI apps?
Developed it or just used it?
Well,
no, I haven't developed
I guess
any
either.
AI things. I've used AI like chatbots and things like that, you know.
Yeah, I think we've all used it. Either knowingly or unknowingly. So yeah, I figured I should start this one as I have somewhat recent experience actually developing an application that uses AI and just go over
that will take over the world.
Yes. It's called Skynet. It's this small startup building Terminators. Yeah, so I figured I should just share my experience and you guys can build upon that with your topics. So yeah, my topic really is what AI actually is at the moment and how developers and programmers actually use it and how it works, sort of, and what...
Whoops.
That's a bad goal. Oh my god. 2-0 already.
And we'll be releasing our Udemy course on AI next week.
Yeah, so obviously take all of what we discussed today with a huge grain of salt because it's just three guys on a podcast, you guys. So
No, I think this should be life advice for everyone. Take this
Take
extremely
this
seriously.
extremely seriously.
Yeah, apply this to your everyday lives.
Even outside of AI, man.
Just live in pure fear every day.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. So yeah, so how does AI work? Last episode I said something dumb, which was like AI is nothing special, it's just maths. Yeah, I should really, like, I think I already backtracked on it in the previous episode, but I should specify that it's extremely cool maths, and it's actually maths that we don't fully understand. So here's what actually happens when you're making an AI application. You're using some form of AI, let's say neural networks or machine learning, which is what pretty much all of AI is currently based upon, I believe. So what machine learning actually is you take some input, you take some output, and you tell the AI do a bunch of calculations in the middle and make sure that the input I'm giving you matches the output I'm giving you. So here's how, in more detail, how that works. Let's say we have a simple app. What did they do in Silicon Valley? Is it a hot dog or isn't it a hot dog? Was that it?
Yeah.
So let's say we're actually making that app. So first of all, we would need thousands, if not millions, of hot dog pictures in different angles, different shapes and sizes.
I know a guy.
Cooked in different ways, so huge data sets. And we need to label all of these data sets as like this is a hot dog or this isn't a hot dog. Then we feed all of that data to a machine learning algorithm and we let it do its thing. And what that entails is it takes each image, it reduces it down to numbers, because like files are essentially just numbers underneath. So it reduces it into this like number string that represents each image, and it tries to figure out an algorithm which is like plussing, multiplying, dividing, like all of the mathematical shit you can think of. It's trying to do that and make sure that the result, if we have like a hot dog on one end, on the other end is 1, and if it's not a hot dog, it's 0. And the way it's testing this is obviously because we give it the data set and we tell it this is a hot dog and this isn't. It can like train itself to recognize purely the data of the image, meaning like the actual ones and zeros, right? So it's not actually looking at anything, it's just ones and zeros to the computer, to the algorithm. So
like the Matrix, for anyone who doesn't get that.
Sorry? Yeah, like the Matrix.
Like the Matrix.
Yeah, exactly. But instead of like Japanese sushi recipes, it's ones and zeros. If you didn't know, that's what they're listing in those green letters, Matrix, just sushi recipes. So yeah, essentially that's what it does. Like you let it decide on its own which arbitrary algorithm is best to use to decide if a picture is a hot dog or isn't. And you don't actually, like, you as a developer, you don't have to know what it uses. It just trains on its own. That's the magic of it. You just let it do its thing, and eventually you have like a 90+% accuracy rate if you let it train for a long time, right? So that's what you want in a modern application. You want to be able to use AI to predict outputs based on inputs, right? So that's one method of doing it, and the other one is with neural networks, which is very, very similar, but there you have multiple nodes, like programmatic nodes that do their own thing, and again process inputs into outputs. And the actual developers don't know, they can't actually see what the mathematics inside is, because the computer makes it up for itself. So it's kind of like it makes brain connections, but instead of the brain, it's just a bunch of programmatical nodes, right? So it's pretty cool. It's very, very, very cool. But at the end of the day, it's just a way to determine if something is a hot dog or not. You know what I mean? Like it's not actual thought. It's not actual intelligence. That's why we have the
not yet.
Still, just like a logical algorithm, I guess.
Yep,
it doesn't
exactly.
make its own decisions. Yeah,
exactly. So I just wanted to like get this out of the way, because a lot of people sort of don't. First of all, not many people have to use it in their work still. Like it's probably just like high-end tech companies that use applications like that. Develop applications like that. But yeah, there's this sort of misunderstanding in the public about what AI actually is, and we based a lot of our understanding and fears on like sci-fi movies, which.
But
yeah,
this is the current application, though, right? Like this isn't where AI will be. This is just how it's currently implemented.
So yes, the current state of AI, but it's like if we can like bring up crypto again, if we say that the backbone of crypto is the blockchain, right? The backbone of AI is these machine learning algorithms that govern how AI works. So if we want to have a Terminator style scenario where AI is like sentient, it will not look anything remotely close to this. It would be something completely different. So it's a bit tricky to say like, oh, just give it a few years and it's gonna develop into something sci-fi, because it won't. It's not actual intelligence. So I think it's kind of Hollywood's fault for like portraying artificial intelligence as sort of actual intelligence.
Yeah, but I guess that's the hope, though, right? Like,
Yeah.
that one point, eventually, that it will become artificially intelligent, as opposed to, maybe AI is the wrong word currently, or the wrong phrase currently.
Yeah,
and I'm not qualified to make that statement, but
yeah, I think that, yes, that's definitely the aspiration. That's why all this work is being poured into this, and obviously the utility is huge. Like, more than anything, I think we briefly touched upon this last time, but in terms of things that completely would change how we do things, for me, one is Neuralink, and the other one is AI. And AI has been a thing for like 20 years plus, like it's not new. But the way that we're implementing it now is great. I think it's going to make a lot of things easier. Also a lot of bad things easier. So that when Elon Musk talk about like, the robots are coming for us, that's not what I'm worried about. What I'm worried about is that it's going to become extremely easy to process, to develop algorithms that process huge data sets. And let's say you want to develop AI that hacks computers, right? It would be extremely easy to do that because of the nature of what AI can currently do. It's just pattern recognition, right? That's essentially what it is. So I think that's what's more dangerous versus actual Siri and Cortana and what was the name of the Amazon one?
God knows, it was a flop.
Alexa,
like rising up
Alexa,
and forming a girl band and destroying all of us.
Yeah, we're not going to have any real life Cortanas for you Halo fans out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, if you've got some of these risks, then I think, they're definitely not risks yet, I'd say, and I think we can get onto that in a little bit. But I guess the foundation of what you're saying is based on the current state of AI, though, right? Like it's where AI is currently, and you mentioned that if like one of the risks that we should be worried about is AI developing into something that can hack with ease.
Not but AI itself developing, like somebody needs to develop it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But it might not even need to, because if AI can impersonate you so well that you don't even know, somebody can't tell the difference in whatever form that is, like whether it's just a video or audio, then like humans can be far more easily tricked, I think, than a computer. So all you need to do is
you could make something that appears to be like a human, even if it's not anything close.
It would
if someone calls you up and says, I'm Ollie and I sound exactly, it sounds exactly the same as me, and it's asking for, I don't know, if you have a spare key of mine or something,
£20,
you would £20 you'd happily give it. You'd happily do as it asks, right?
Do anything for you.
Yeah, exactly. So I think the worry is that it doesn't even need to get that good in order to be that effective.
Yes,
because humans,
that's pretty true.
Humans are pretty big like flaws in the system.
It's like those chatbots. They just use responses that humans have already made, but then they tie that in. So if you say, like let's say if you say, how's the weather? It would look at responses to that question and say, oh, it's sunny or something like that. So if it could actually be logical about it and, find out more information, like say, actually look up what the weather is. Yeah. Then it's pretty close.
So here's the thing about creating anything remotely close to that. So the two fundamental things are the machine learning algorithm, and more than that, it's the data sets used to develop these things. So to develop a convincing Ollie impersonator, you would have to have so much data on Ollie readily available
Who would have that data? I
yes,
wonder.
yes. That's where I'm getting at. Like, that is why, like, what I would be more worried about is social media companies and data storage. Like, at the moment, it's a huge issue. Well, not a huge issue, but it's an issue in Europe. We want to have our Facebook data stored on EU servers, right? That's like in the news now in the second week of February 2022. So I do believe that's, obviously it's not the main reason, but that is part of the reason. Right? Like, it's, if somebody gets a hold of all of those data sets on you, then they can use machine learning to do all sorts of stuff. And yeah, maybe like create a chatbot that sounds exactly like you if they have all your chat history. Creates even video of you if they have all your pictures from Facebook and Instagram.
Deep fakes are pretty good.
Deep fakes are really good now. And it wouldn't be too easy to fool somebody, but especially like older people or somebody that's not paying attention. Yeah, I think it could be a thing. So more than AI, I think the dangerous part is just asshole social media companies and data harvesting companies. That's what I see as more of like a threat to society than Siri.
Yeah, I mean, it's just it's the misuse of those data sets then, really. The data sets themselves aren't bad, but I guess it's the misuse of them. Like, if you, for example, if you can sell your own data and make money from it, there'll probably be loads of people that would sign up to that.
Yeah.
But then if somebody uses that to steal more money from you, you'd be pretty pissed.
Remember FaceApp? Did you look?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Wasn't like there was like this conspiracy around it, again tying into last episode, that the Russians they just want your facial data sets of your face, and they're just masking it with like this cool app that lets you see how you're gonna look when you're older.
This happens every time a new app comes out. Like, every time some popular new app comes out, it's like,
well,
it's
we
the
both missed
Russians,
that one.
or it's the Chinese, or
or America. Or Mark
no,
Zuckerberg.
America's never the.
No, America's never the bad guy.
America, they're always right. Come on.
Yeah. They're never the enemy in these stories.
Yeah, yes.
But there's always like some like political agenda that the media ties to these social platforms that emerge.
It does make sense though, like why objectively there's no real way to develop an app like FaceApp and have it be like sustainable, because it's like what we did. We used it once or twice and then uninstalled, right? Like that app is like it's not a viable business, right?
Yeah, but what I mean,
so what are the
how many apps are?
Well,
apart from like the anomalies like Facebook and Twitter and stuff, like how many apps stay alive longer than
I guess
2 years?
I guess it could have been like a pump and dump, like just get a few 100,000 users and a few
make a couple devs rich.
Yeah, could be. But yeah, that's all of this is to say that at the moment these nightmare scenarios are very far from actualization with the current technology, and I don't know how far Elon Musk looks into the future to make those claims. That, like,
well, when he's looking to when he's the Emperor of Mars, obviously.
Yes. Like there's much more pressing stuff, and with all technology, obviously there's gonna be misuse of it in some way. There probably already is hella misuse of AI, but that's just how it goes. It's the same way that the internet was pretty pure and cool back in the day. Now it's ass and cancer. but still, the majority of what the internet is used for is good, right? So I think it'll be the same with AI.
Maybe. I mean,
Yeah.
I think it really just depends. Like we thought maybe the majority of what we'll use our phones for would be good, but I'd say that's not the case. I'd say that actually the majority of what we use our phones for is just terrible.
Yeah.
I mean, we could do a whole episode on that, like the negative effects of social media and
Phones,
mental health and stuff.
Yeah.
But I think, there's probably, again, like a romanticism about AI that people think, like, don't even consider that it can just be used for harm. And in inadvertent ways as well. So not, when you think of Facebook, you don't necessarily think, oh, it's a harmful product, but the effects of it are. Now you know that because of
you've had time
everything
to
that's
experience
come out about it. So I think it's not it's not black and white, I think.
Yeah, well, but for me personally, I'm not worried about this. I think it's a pretty cool technology. I don't use it every day, by the way, so again, take all that I say with a grain of salt, but the few times that I have developed stuff with AI, first of all, it's been very, very difficult, so whoever this mastermind of evilness has to be like really good at programming. And yeah, I don't consider it. I'm not sharing Elon Musk's fears. But yeah, you guys can go ahead and let me know what you think.
Oh yeah, Ollie, do you want to do your topic since you're talking about Elon Musk?
Well, mine was kind of the opposite, I guess, and it's where AI will take us. So, what the future looks like with this is just from my perspective, or again, maybe this is my romanticized view, but some of it's romanticized. But like, for example, the areas that AI will affect, I think it will touch almost every industry, like transportation, manufacturing, healthcare, like the social elements of your life. Everything, I think, will be touched by AI in some way. Yeah. And go on.
I was gonna say one thing that I see becoming a reality in some countries that embrace AI. I'm not saying it's a good or bad way of using it. I'm just saying it's very effective. Is reducing crime rate, because say for example in China, what they're doing, right? They have all of these cameras already pre-installed everywhere, right? And what they're doing now is if they have like a wanted criminal, they can super easily identify them from camera feeds using AI and face identification, machine learning algorithm to find people in a crowd. So again, not saying that's like ethically correct, but it's very very effective, and I could see it. To be honest, I'm not against CCTV in public places at all. So if that was like to help reduce crime and stuff like that, then why not? I don't care. But yeah, it's a very very effective use, and again, it's a very typical use case of machine learning where you have like a bunch of pictures of people's faces and the face that you're looking for, and you need the AI to tell you which one of these people it is, and it's gonna do that super fast and super accurate.
Yeah, I guess then there's the like economic and social aspect to look at, which I mean there's lots to kind of explore there, but there's always a question of, with the advancements of AI, will it infringe upon certain rights that we currently have or that we will have in the future? For example, not everybody is in favor of CCTV everywhere.
Yeah.
Because in order to do that, what you're saying, it will have to literally be everywhere, so that.
Well, it doesn't have to, right? Like China have it like that, but that's because they're China. But if it's say, you get CCTV in areas like in stadiums, in private areas, right? Like businesses, stadiums, theaters. If you have this sort of technology on the back end, crimes in those places would be reduced to a minimum because people would get caught really easily, right? Say, for example, in the club, somebody roofing somebody. That could be like easily identifiable, and because it's a private club, the owner can decide if they want to have that or not, if they want to disclose that to their patrons or not. You know.
But then wouldn't you just have it everywhere? Like, why would you only have it in some places and not others?
Exactly the reason you're saying, because people may not be like me and may not feel comfortable if it's a public space and they want to, go out with their kids and they don't want to be observed, even though nobody is actually observing them. The same way that nobody is actually listening to your phone. It's just an algorithm that lets you use Siri and give you ads based on what you talk about with your friends. So that's why I think like initially it's gonna, in the West in particular, initially it's gonna impact a lot of private sectors. And then if it becomes too commonplace that everybody's okay with it, we could have a scenario like which can get very like 1984 or something, like where
that's kind of what I was thinking.
Yes, but obviously that's not what I sort of meant when I said like, oh, we can do it everywhere. Like, yeah, we can, but it doesn't mean we have to or we need to.
Yeah.
It's just going to be a very effective use of that technology.
The thing is, like, with monitoring everyone, it depends what that government decides what is a crime and isn't.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So if the government can watch, and if you say anything bad about the government, then they know who you are, then that's not good. But if they see someone getting mugged and they can catch them, then that's good. Yeah. So it really is down to how good the government is.
Yeah, but again, like most likely this would be something that's implemented privately first, for private businesses. The same way that Facebook and all these companies now gather your voice data and use algorithms to decide what ads to give you. It's exactly the same thing. The same concept, right? So you don't. Yep. Nobody likes being listened to, but there's nobody actually listening to you.
What if you go to a club and the owner is Fat Tony, and you start talking trash about Fat Tony, and then he sees you talking trash about him. He knows exactly who you are, knows where you live. Like, I don't know. I'm not sure I'd want Fat Tony knowing all this information about me, and then
but you can
being able to do something about it.
But it's like any business, right? You can just not go to Fat Tony's. You can go to Slim Jim's. Like if Slim Jim's is all like pro freedom of not being watched, like you can do whatever in that club. You can like shank somebody in the bathroom. Like, I don't care. I'm Slim Jim. I'm cool. And you can choose to go there, or you can just be safe and not get roofied if you're a woman, or a man, I guess, or some other gender, I guess, and go to Fat Tony and feel like oh, this is a safe place. Like the statistics confirm it. Nobody here is getting
unless you criticize Fat Tony, in which case you get shanked back.
Yeah, but it's his business. I mean, if you don't like it, make your own club, right?
Yeah. But then again, if someone has dominance of the market and they say, well, if you don't like it, make your own, and then they completely crush you if you try and make your own business.
Reminds me of some a particular tech figure monopolizing a certain market and then
my controllers
making their own regulations and stuff.
Is it the one that reminds me of the new Tezos crypto?
No, a social media company.
Oh, okay.
Sweet Baby Ray's.
Baby Ray's. But look, I've been thinking about this actually. how cool would it be if somebody just made a, you know how we have Signal now as a response to WhatsApp? Do you think it's just a matter of time before somebody makes like a free book Facebook clone?
Free book.
And
Well, they did that.
100%.
I guess it was a replacement to Twitter, but there was that Parler app, wasn't there?
I
Remember?
don't know. I haven't used it.
So it
Wasn't
was
that by
like
Donald Trump.
it was supported by him. Yeah, it pretty much ended us just full of like right wing trolls, really.
Okay, I'm talking
And
about
then it
like
got
open
shut down.
source, like Signal, like, you know, donation donation like funded.
Oh, okay,
Decentralized
Yeah.
cryptocurrency.
Yeah, if it's
Web3.
using
yeah,
crypto.
it works.
I do think that's going to be a thing.
Yes.
There's already
Yeah.
one or two popping up, but
Mhm.
they just haven't been adopted because
Yeah, it's a matter
I
of
think they
time.
kind of started for the wrong reasons. But so another thing that I was going to say is I was watching a video from Lex Friedman, and he was interviewing what's his name? Michio Kaku, I think his name was.
Mhm.
But anyway, he's a
Who dat?
physicist.
Yeah.
Say again?
I was just saying, who dat?
Yeah, he's a physicist, and the way that he was explaining his views on where AI will be was like, right now, AI is like has the mind of, let's say, a cockroach, right? It's pretty stupid. He said eventually it'll get to a dog, and this is over the course of like 200-300 years.
Based on what?
Oh, right.
What is this? Because again, AI doesn't actually think. So what is he basing those claims on?
Do cockroaches?
Well, I'm guessing that there must be some comparable level of intelligence to what
Yeah,
a computer outputs to what these animals output. I'm guessing.
Yeah.
But he didn't go that deep into the thing anyway. Yeah, so he said right now the way that you can think about it is it's like a cockroach. Eventually it'll get to a dog and then a monkey, and that'll be over like 200 years or something. But at some point it will become somewhat self-aware that it exists, or at least that, and we touched on this in the previous episode, but at least that it has some fail-safe script or chip or something to stop, obviously, like certain issues happening or some mass catastrophe with like Elon Tesla bots or some genius Hoovers or something. But so what about when those bots know they have that fail-safe and then are able to remove it themselves, right? Even if they're not at the point where they're that smart yet, but they know of the existence of that, whatever that fail-safe is. Like
a dog chewing off its collar or something.
Yeah, exactly.
So it can go and eat some kids.
As dogs do.
As an extreme example.
Yeah.
Here's a quick fix for you.
Yeah.
All of you worrying about this. You can pull the plug on the computer /computer.
Well, if it's got batteries,
What
it's
about-
solar
You
Yeah.
can
powered.
wait for you can wait for the batteries to die.
Yeah,
the batteries are so
while you're
good.
getting killed by it.
Okay, you can block out the sun like they did in the Matrix, so that the solar for their batteries doesn't, they don't get enough sun, and then they have to use human bodies to harvest heat energy or some shit. Guys, this is like
Great.
it's so much like I'm sure that guy is smart. I'm sure he's a very very skillful physicist. Yeah. But I have no idea what he's talking about. Like, again, like AI is purely pattern recognition right now, and I don't think unless they invent something new, which is, let's call it Alibaba intelligence, which is completely different and somehow can think on its own, these are non-issues and will not.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if it's 2,000 years.
For now, right?
Yes, but that's what I'm saying. Like, again, the underlying concept of this is just pattern recognition. Intelligence is much more than that, right?
I have no idea. I don't develop it. Like we're just theorizing, right? With our infinite wisdom.
Yes. I would be worried if they actually invented something that can generate out of nothing, output out of nothing. As soon as like generate thoughts out of nothing, right?
But humans don't generate thoughts out of nothing.
Everything we think is based on something. Like you learn something and then you think
something
about
that has initiative. All right.
Okay. Yeah.
So AI, none of the AI tools we have now have initiative to do stuff of their own accord. And somebody would have to first of all develop that technology, and somebody else would have to implement it, and somebody else would have to like build the mechanical bodies and glowing red eyes. And
you know, Elon's building Tesla bots, right? Like real Tesla bots. This is I'm not even making this up. He's building actual robots that will do shit for you, like go shopping for you, or I actually don't know what they'll do.
Possibly he's doing it for factory work. I'm not sure what he's doing it for. I haven't looked into it, but
probably factory work.
That's great, but again, they have like a specific task to do, right, to achieve.
For now, So come along this ride with me for a second.
All right.
So
I'm ready.
At some point, there'll be that convergence where our desire for convenience is going to overtake our will to work, right? And let's say at that point AI is good enough for. I actually think AI will be good enough long before that actually happens. Even though most people have zero will to work now, but you get what I'm saying. And then humans will put up a fight, possibly until they realize like everyone around them is just getting paid to have their robots do their jobs for them. Like, did you see that? So you know what's happening in Canada right now with this is pretty ironic actually, with the truckers.
They're protesting COVID measures or something.
Yeah, honking their horns.
They're protesting for the removal of certain mandates. Basically because they've pretty much had enough over there, and it's February now, so February 2022.
COVID related, right?
I think it's mostly COVID related, but also I think they're not a fan of Trudeau for whatever reason. But anyway, they're protesting. Oh, that's bad. They're protesting They're protesting that in Canada at the moment, and you get someone like Elon Musk saying that he's backing the truckers right now. Like, he's getting on their side, like he's backing the truckers, right?
Of course, Elon Musk has to take the unpopular side.
Well, listen to this. So he's claiming like he's backing the truckers, but the irony is, which nobody's really putting two and two together here.
Yeah, Cybertruck.
He's literally building a truck that will universally put them out of their jobs.
Yep.
And like, I don't know.
It's just pity.
I should caveat this probably by saying that I think automation is a great thing. But then you'll need to like subsidize unemployment and whatever, putting people out of those jobs. But it's I think we're starting to see, or will start to see, how AI will begin to infiltrate our lives even more so on a more obvious level. Because right now everything's kind of behind the scenes, the scripts that are being run, the data that's being captured, but soon we'll see like autonomous vehicles,
Yeah.
autonomous machinery.
I'm looking forward to it. I think all of that stuff good. The Amazon, that shop that they're developing in the States, where you don't have any staff inside, you just have like people just go in and take stuff and leave, and
Yeah.
they get charged.
Steal from the shop.
Don't they have one in England?
Oh,
well?
cool.
I'm sure there's one in England of that.
Nice.
Maybe I'm wrong, but I think there is.
Honestly, I think that's all great. I don't think those people. I might be wrong, but I don't think anybody enjoys being like a cashier or whatever for 8 hours a day.
No. Yeah, exactly.
So getting rid of those jobs, something else that I truly believe in is that you're not just getting rid of jobs and like leaving people out of job. Like you're just creating new opportunities. Like those people can then turn around and let's say work in
They can maintain the machines that replace their jobs.
Exactly. Like work in training the AI to do its job properly, or work in,
If they're capable.
If they're capable, yes, but that's up to education. That's a different topic.
Yeah, as education improves and the economy gets better, then people won't need low-skilled jobs anymore, and everyone will have a better job.
If AI is part
hopefully.
of your curriculum as a new like Zoom or a cyber kid, and you've grown up like being used, because it's the same thing as how like we value how kids play, like they're playing at being a cashier, or they're playing at owning a shop. That's like a common thing that kids play at, right? So in the future, maybe they'll play at like being engineers or developing robotics or whatever. Like
they'll play programming and stuff. I mean, they even have programming lessons and stuff for kids, don't they?
Exactly. Even we did when I was a kid.
Based.
So I'm sure it's going to be more and more popularized in education as well.
Yeah, but I mean, those types of jobs that you play at as a kid mostly are pretty high-skilled jobs, right? Like, I don't know how often a kid plays at being a cashier, if I'm honest. Like, you play at being an astronaut.
I remember like a cash register toy. And you can type the numbers in, and it comes up on the display and stuff like that, and it opens up. You get play money inside. Let me
hit you with a childhood memory of mine. I had like a shop in one of my grandma's like empty rooms in the house. I would make like a shop, and I would make paper money and give it to my family, and I would have like paper candy or whatever, paper like make shit out of paper. I mean,
paper food,
like just useless shit, just trash, just absolute garbage. And I would sell that to them for fake money, and that would be like literally my whole summer vacation would be that.
But that's entrepreneurial.
Yeah,
that's you training to be a businessman.
So those people that used to be cashiers at the store that Amazon took over, and I doubt that they fired them. They probably just found them like some stocking jobs or like inventory or stuff like that. I don't know. I
don't know. I wouldn't put it past a company like Amazon to like fire a bunch of people, replace them.
Well, Amazon would do that because they treat their employees not great.
It's extremely likely they would get sued though. I'm not sure, but yeah. Anyway, my point being that those sort of those things that we're really used to right now, and we think like, they're taking their jobs and they'll be out of work. Like they'll just change over time. There didn't even used to be a cashier job in the beginning when shops were invented. Like the first sort of grocery shops was just one guy stocking his shop, and then people would come in and take stuff and write down what they took, and they would buy it on credit, and then whenever they could, they would pay the guy. There wasn't any cashiers or things like that. So that's just like it's just a sign of the times that job. like when supermarkets became this huge inoperable thing by one guy, they needed more people, right? So
I'm not saying cashiers need to exist forever. Like most of the cashiers I've met, man. Yeah, moving on.
Yeah. You will get cancelled by the cashier community.
Yeah. Well, they'll be out of a job soon, so it doesn't really matter. They won't have the money to sue us. Just kidding.
I think, like, can you imagine the difference between people's lives who are living, who will be forced into poverty, I think. So I'm taking the devil's advocate approach here and saying, like, those people who would have had jobs, I don't think they'll necessarily be subsidized for their unemployment to the degree that, like, the amount they're getting paid now. I don't know, but like if you work as an engineer in AI or whatever, I think, and with the advancements of it, can you imagine, like, one day you've woken up from your, I don't know, gravity-less sleep pod and to the voice of pretty much anyone on the planet you choose, like, to sing for you or whatever.
Jeff Bezos.
Yeah. Jeffrey Bezos.
And then like, you're immediately cleaned in the gravity pod like some floating car wash. Yeah. And you emerge to your customizable robo butler. Like, I think that the direction that this will take humanity will be one where you just don't need to do anything anymore. Like, imagine your
like in WALL-E.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. So imagine, like, Jeffrey, your robot butler, when you wake up, like, cuts your hair, massages you.
Robot like, butler / sex doll.
Yeah, whatever you want to call it. You go downstairs and your food's already prepped so you can eat, and you just have to put your, like, VR contact lenses in, and then your colleagues start, like, popping up around you for breakfast, like some generative home invaders.
So in this scenario, you do have a job.
Well, regardless of, let's say you do have a job, yeah. Let's say it's some, like, I don't know, office job, whatever that will be in the future. And then, yeah, like, they can hang out virtually in your real world. This is, I'm kind of just going down
the
a
metaverse,
rabbit hole.
Like what the Zach was showing off in the
yeah. And then you can go outside and they'll just walk alongside you, but they won't have to move their bodies. And you'll just see, like, I don't really know where I'm going with this.
What was the original question?
The point that we're not going to have the same. We won't have to make our own food or anything like that.
Let me just finish my AI story, and then you can.
Are we still on the journey, Ollie? Because it's
put some
like
reason.
A fever dream.
Put some reason to it. So, where was I? Something about home invaders, right?
Yeah. Your colleagues are in your home and they're topless and they're walking around.
Oh yeah, that yeah.
Nice.
And then they start telling you about all the reports you have to do, and then you get into your autonomous car and they follow you to your car because they don't have to actually be there and they're just always around.
Yeah.
And then the car's actually a rocket which is flying around space. I think this is the direction.
Okay.
This is the direction that our artificial overlords will take us in the future. And
here's why hope. That's let's hope.
Let's hope that we can pull out our fail-safe chips to comply.
Here's why that won't happen, in my opinion. You know how as the more like social media bullshit we get, the more there are these people now that are like trying to cancel social media and escape from the internet by going to the real world. Like you know, like it's super trendy right now to just leave your job, go to the woods and build a hut and live there and like sustain yourself. Like a lot of the
I only know one guy that's ever said that.
But it's a trendy thing now, especially in America. It's super trendy. They still they still like obviously they gotta brag about it. So they still have like YouTube channels where they talk about this.
They become influencers.
So
I live in a hut.
Obviously, if you don't talk about it in these days,
then it's like it didn't even happen. Yeah.
But anyway, there's like a huge. The internet used to be a space where you would escape from the real world, like if you're a massive nerd or something. But now it's become more and more where you get like internet, like saturation of your internet senses, and you want to just unplug and go out and like I don't know, walk in the woods or some shit. So that is why I think it would never get to the point of total metaverse domination. Like people are just not gonna let it happen fully.
Do you know of anyone that lives in the woods though?
That's an exaggeration, obviously, but for example, something that I'm doing now myself is like I don't, like I told you guys, I uninstalled all of my social media apps, and I actually even uninstalled YouTube. And if I want to watch like some creator that I really enjoy, I actually just go to their website or their Patreon and do it that way. Because I just got so sick of like the ads and like the constant, like the landing page of YouTube is complete cancer now. It's just
but I mean, you say this as you play a video game that. Like you're immersing yourself in a video game and then recording a podcast, which is going to be uploaded.
With my 3 real life friends, right?
3,
and we're doing like. I'm not saying that again.
Some of us.
Yeah, some of us are my friends. I'm not saying that we shouldn't have any internet or any sort of like we shouldn't be on the internet or use technology. I'm just saying that. Like I am doing this as a form of, first of all, for me this is like a good time to chill and bond with my friends, and also it's like an alternative, especially now in COVID times, an alternative to like going out to a bar and doing this, right? So I'm not against any of this. What I'm saying is that like I myself don't let it get to the level where I'm obsessed with social media right now, and it's not even that intrusive yet. So I don't think that when it becomes even more intrusive, people are gonna buy more into it and like suddenly start being in the metaverse 100% of the time.
Just a little side note. When I went to Rome, there was this sunglasses shop that was selling some like AR Ray-Bans. Sponsor us Ray-Bans.
Yes.
Pretty cool.
And I was like, this seems way ahead of its time. I haven't even seen anyone else do anything like this yet. So I went in and asked if I could try them on. And the woman said, yeah. So I put them on, and man, they were the most useless. Like they did nothing. All they did was show a small menu on the screen, and that was it. I was thinking,
isn't that like Google Glass?
Way worse than Google Glass.
Wow.
Way worse. This was like you stuck a piece of paper on your
Google Glass. Yeah, detects when you need to shit.
Yeah,
it was pretty bad.
I think AR glasses could potentially be very cool, more so than like VR headsets.
They could be one day.
I like the idea of mixing
difference, really.
Well, I like the idea of keeping like real reality. I'm not like a huge metaverse fan, but I like the idea of mixing digital stuff in the real world.
Yeah, but then is there a danger that you'll just become so bored of the real world. Like, let's say you could put those glasses on. I'm going down another rabbit hole here, but let's say you could put those glasses on and all of a sudden the table that you're sitting at like becomes I don't know, some ancient Egyptian table, and your surroundings are like
you
forests.
whip out your Yu-Gi-Oh deck and you start summoning monsters.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I summon Exodia!
Yeah.
And then it actually appears in front of you.
Yeah.
That'd be pretty cool, actually.
Gives you a
All
kiss
of a
on the
sudden-
cheek.
All of a sudden,
Yeah.
reality becomes pretty boring.
Yeah, but that's you can argue this right now as well. Like for kids these days, probably spending some time with their grandparents is pretty boring because they wanna play in Fortnite and pawn some noobs, right? Like
True.
that's already a thing, and well, we'll see the results of it. I think as we grow older, but it's not out of hand yet. But yeah, I do think that's a danger, but not because of AI or AR or VR, just human. Like as long as we keep making stuff that targets like creating the ultimate dopamine hit for impressionable people, then yeah, that's dangerous. So we kind of like we went on these Ollie trips for quite a while. Dave, do you want to share your
True, yeah.
your top?
I wanted to wait till after this game so I could go and get another beer, but I'll just start it anyway.
Yeah.
And since this is going on, so I was going to talk about the ethics of AI. So let's say in a future where AI does become like, let's say almost like humans, like they can do stuff pretty much whatever humans can. What is it justified to do? Because I think, things like, let's say you have military drones that go and bomb terrorists, let's say you could have AI police, AI like maybe an AI decides your sentence for a crime or decides how you should be punished and things like that. How far is too far when it comes to AI if we had unlimited potential for how we could actually develop it?
Well,
that's the question.
The thing that would suck about all of that is just who creates those guidelines, because somebody has to create them, and unless you have the fairest, smartest person or group of people on the planet working together, even then, has there ever been a guiding set of principles that everyone agrees on?
No, there's never going to be an objectively correct. But then again, you have the rules of AI. I think we talked about it before.
Yeah.
But like, don't kill a human or don't harm a human unless it saves more humans than that. And
no, but we're talking about guidelines for humans.
Oh well, I was saying guidelines for how AI should be used.
I know, but I'm saying somebody has to, like, if you want self-policing AI, somebody would have to create guidelines for what those bots or whatever they'll be, drones or whatever, can arrest you for, right?
Yeah, I suppose so. Unless they can learn themselves and make that decision,
Because it's only black
I
and white with
suppose
them.
a person would have to do it. It's kind of like with image recognition. It depends on what data set they're giving the robot itself or the AI to make that decision.
I think we will never, like all of the, I don't know if it's the same word in English, but like all the humanity, is it? I'm not sure how it's called, but like jobs like lawyer and judge and these things that require like consideration of many facets of like a case. I don't think those jobs would be outsourced to machines. I don't think people would give them, especially like abiding, because it's so subjective. You can't say objectively like, oh, somebody stole something from a shop, so they have to like go to jail and serve time because they might have stole it for a reason that's only.
Oh yeah, maybe.
Like, say for example, somebody steals an EpiPen from a pharmacy to go outside and save somebody's life, right? So
yeah,
it's not, you can't, it's context based, so you can't like trust an algorithm to make those calls.
Yeah, that's the thing. But what if it gets to a point where they do let an algorithm decide? They say, okay, you stole something, so that's it. You get this amount of time. No human, decides. But then you could have minor things like if you, I don't know, trying to think of something that an AI could do in terms of controlling humans, but it's probably not actually anything. Maybe let's say you speed, that's kind of like a flat thing. If you go 50 over the speed limit, you can get this fine. It doesn't matter if you're taking your wife to the hospital or something.
Yeah, exactly. But that's why you can't. Nobody in their right mind would entrust AI to do this. Like they obviously, that's how they do it now. That's how they flag you. That's how they give you tickets. But you can take it to court and dispute it and say, look, my wife or whoever, there was somebody in my car that needed urgent medical attention. Here's what happened. So you can't entrust that job to machines. You just wouldn't if you're a sane person. And I think more broadly regarding your topic, I think AI would need to follow the same set of like ethics and rules that humans follow to begin with, and probably have like another set on top of that specifically for machines.
I would say that AI, let's say if it did make decisions, it should only be used to advise. A human should ultimately make the decision, but the AI could give its, like it could say, okay, I recommend this punishment or this should happen, and then the human can decide whether that's actually right or not.
The problem is that like the guiding the guiding principles of governance will ultimately always be flawed by human intelligence. Like in order for something to be governed, you can't leave it into the hands of AI because they'll just say, well, it'll just make decisions that don't take context into consideration, as Victor mentioned. So you'll always have the flaw and benefit of humans creating those guiding principles, right? Unless you go off something that we can claim was divine, like only say the 10 Commandments or whatever. Like those are kind of some of the oldest guiding principles, right? But anything else that you want to govern will always have. For example, this is a ridiculous example, but when they did that boat naming competition?
Oh yeah.
And people got to vote on like what the name of some boat that was being created, and they ended up with Boaty McBoatface.
Yeah, classic.
Yeah, people will always just find stupid and entertaining ways to govern stuff, and maybe that is the right way to go. I don't know. Maybe that isn't flawed.
Obviously it is.
If you let people make the decisions, but if you leave it all to a machine, then it wouldn't choose Boaty McBoatface.
Well,
yeah, but it would give you
because
the boat,
Mr. Boat.
It cannot have it doesn't have creativity. Like all of its names that it's gonna come up with are gonna be based on what people are saying online, probably. So probably end up with something even more inappropriate. But that's
most popular phrases online.
I
don't want to repeat it on the podcast. Actually, I'll get cancelled.
It was like the chatbot that Google created.
That's a good
Facebook?
one. Yeah. How long was it before it turned into a Nazi? Like 3 days.
Yeah. It was. I mean,
what did it say? Can I repeat this on podcast? I'm quoting the AI.
Wait, hold on, Dave. What did it?
It said that Bush did something.
Think about.
It said George Bush did something, a certain terrorist attack.
Okay. Right. That's what the AI say. That's not what.
Yeah, the AI said that. I don't think that Bush did anything. Any terrorist attacks.
He's too stupid to have done it. Come on.
Didn't do anything at all.
Yeah, he didn't do anything. That could be another topic.
Yeah.
About US politics.
George Bush.
No, no.
Just George Bush.
George Bush, yeah.
We
That's our
should
topic.
dedicate a whole episode on George W. Bush, his policies, his memes.
Yeah.
Man, we used to think that's the bad one.
Oh, yeah.
That's the bad president.
You
Remember
thought,
those
oh man,
days?
George Bush. I remember watching animations and cartoons about how stupid George Bush was.
Yeah.
How he was
How
like
little
so
we
obsessed with like bombing Iraqis and stuff like that. And now, is that appropriate
Wow.
to say?
Is what appropriate?
Bombing Iraqis.
Anyway, back to your topic. I'm gonna
Jesus.
nip this in the bud because it's
Yeah, good point. Yeah, good idea. So I was talking about the ethics of AI. So, what they can and can't do. But this is hypothetical. This is like when AI is intelligent, or at least appears to be intelligent, and has like a very large database which it can refer to make decisions.
Yeah, I'm confident that it would have a huge set of rules that it needs to follow, which are probably going to be decided on
They'd have to enforce
internationally, likely, like the same way we have like stuff like how to deal with refugees at the moment and things like that. So I think that's how,
like the Geneva Convention for AI.
International Convention. Yeah, but like the things, the fully democratized thing, like what Ultimate Boldface and what some crypto companies are doing, I don't think that's the way. Like the majority of people, are dumb. Like more people than you realize are really dumb, and they should not be making decisions for like a healthy society. So we should still have like.
I shouldn't be making decisions for a healthy society. If people are dumber than me, then they definitely shouldn't.
I mean, you could say the same about politicians, though, right? Like, how many people actually believe in their country's politicians to do a good job? It's
still the best we could come up with so far. Like, I don't think like total like just voting on everything. Everybody votes on the same, like every single person voting on something is a solution, because it's just gonna be like
that's not the at least from my understanding, that's not the intention of companies in the Web3 space and DAOs and things like that. I think
be right back.
Yep.
Just gone to get a brewski.
Yeah.
I think the implementation of this is actually something more like you have a group of people that are selected by a larger group of people to do the voting.
Yeah.
So then those people there'll be some elected government officials.
So it's actually the same as Parliament. Because
I think. Yeah. Well, in these types of scenarios, you can vote those people out with a lot more ease and replace them, and you can vote certain laws in and out, and I think it's a lot more fluid, whereas Parliament, it has to go through like certain number of year cycles, and then depending on where you live, you need a certain number of seats or states or whatever to
no, I don't mean American, like the American system is fucked. Like, I don't mean them, but like Parliament is in Jesus
Christ.
Oh my God.
Did you take your microphone with you?
Of course. Just took a huge ass shit and flushed it. Double flusher. Yeah, sure. I'll track down your shitting. Like, oh my God. Oh. Jesus.
That's definitely staying in. That's
staying in for sure. I want your parents to listen to this and see what has become of their son. shits with the door
Exactly.
open.
Why would you-
At least you wash your hands. That's good.
I didn't hear anything.
Are you done, Dave?
Yeah. Can you hear?
I can hear you, yeah.
I can hear you fine.
Headset for the sound.
Anyway,
So you
like,
just listen to me piss. That's nice.
you just took me out of a really, really deep point that I was about to make. What were we talking about? Like,
Something.
Just quickly,
governance.
the Google Meet, I am using my earpiece, which I kept in when I was in the toilet, so you got the full
okay.
full sound
Excellent.
of me.
All right. So hopefully the listeners
Yeah, the listeners wouldn't have heard
won't
anything.
hear this. Won't have to suffer what we have just suffered.
Oh, that was grim.
Yeah.
We'll
You
just
should
add
get
in
help.
a fake toilet flush sound.
Yeah. You need to get medical attention. Jesus.
Yeah, it could have been worse.
Anyway, yeah, I think the point that I was about to make, because it escapes me now, is that it's
Something
just,
about governance, government officials and stuff.
yeah. I don't mean American politics. Like that's all wrong. Like they're not doing politics very well. I mean like any European country's parliament, like the way that we, like the Western European way of selecting the people that govern you, I think is the best that we've managed to come up with. And if we add additional like fluidity of like we don't need to wait for people to serve their terms and shit, and just if they're doing a bad job, just yeet them out.
Yeah, that would be ideal.
That would be great. Yeah.
And I don't think it should be like a certain like. I know this is completely off topic now, but why do you have to lean a certain way? You know, like why does it have to be left or right? Why can't it just be a bunch of principles or guidelines that you that's almost like a set of just principles or guidelines, and then the person or people enforcing them can be mixed. Like, why does it have to be one way or the other?
Isn't that just American shit again? Like, do you guys
And British.
Okay. I'm not sure that
Yeah,
we
not as bad as America, but
yeah, I'm not sure we have the same
Little
thing. Because I think, well, technically the system, the democracy system we have in place is, I think it predisposes a two-party, ultimately having like a two-party system. I forgot what the reason was, but I know that it's like the way we have arranged our democracies, they inevitably come down to two camps.
Yeah.
No matter what you do, because the bigger camps just eat out the smaller camps. Like, you know how you have like, actually, I don't know any parties in the UK, but I know UKIP. That's what I know. So let's say we have UKIP
the
and we
best
have
party.
we have the Conservative and the what are the other ones?
Labour, Conservative, and Liberal Democrats.
Yeah.
And then Green Party as well.
Yeah, let's say like Green Party. They're never in power, right? They usually get a few.
Party.
Yeah. Just some. Yeah, they're there for the memes essentially. So the only like, because the distribution of what people choose is always going to be, and again I think this is mathematical how it works, but it's always going to be 2 at the top, and everybody else are just evenly distributed, basically just breadcrumbs compared to the lion's share. It always ends up like this. It was some sort of mathematical principle, but at the moment I can't remember what it was called. But it does work in pretty much every society like this. That's a democracy. I mean,
true. If you think about it, there's always 2. There's like Microsoft and Apple.
Yeah.
or Xbox and PlayStation, and Nintendo's kind of gone off on their own market almost. And then whatever else. There's probably enough examples anyway.
Yeah, they just consume everything. So to become big enough to consume all the little guys, and that just how it ends up being.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I mean, I think we went way off ethics of AI.
Oh yeah, we're talking about politics now.
Yeah.
That could be a topic. Politics,
that's
not George Bush.
Yeah, that would be the most boring podcast.
True. Yeah.
We're probably the worst people to discuss it. When's the last time you guys voted?
Don't know. I didn't even vote on Brexit.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm ashamed to admit.
Exactly. I voted maybe 5 years ago. I wanted to vote this year, but the voting process was so dumb. Like you still had to physically go to a location with a bunch of people, and that was like mid-COVID lockdown shit. And I was like, are you actually ill in the head? Like, why would you? Speaking of AI and shit and digitizing stuff, why is voting not completely online? Like
on the blockchain, you mean?
Because they don't trust computers.
But we have so many, even to make like a Cash App or Revolut or whatever app you're using for your money, even to do that, they ask you for like Face ID, actual like photo ID, and you need to take like a picture of yourself holding your ID and stuff like that. Isn't it much easier for me to dress up as Dave, let's say, like put a nice girly wig on and like make myself pretty and nice, and then steal his ID and go to the voting booth and just say like, oh, hi, I'm Dave, I'm British, I'm voting for UKIP, and they'll be like, oh yeah, makes sense, checks out, because this guy looks like Dave, says his name is Dave and votes for UKIP, checks out. So
it's true.
I've thought about this, and I'd have liked to have thought that the reason behind it is actually a lot more interesting than what I actually think it is. Like, you'd want to think, oh, well, not you'd want to, but the conspiracy that you go to, I think a lot of people go to, is like, oh, it's so that the elections can be rigged and people can put in multiple votes and all this type of stuff.
Which they already do.
Yeah, I mean, I'm guessing there's people that do that.
Yeah.
But I think the reality is actually a lot more mundane, and it's that government moves incredibly slowly, slower than healthcare, and healthcare moves at snail pace. So when it comes to changing anything in the government, which you can see by the way that they speak in Parliament, for example, in the UK, like the Right Honourable Gentleman and all this type of stuff, and, like, they were wearing wigs
just
up
be
until
normal, yeah. What the hell?
not long ago.
Yeah, true.
I actually just think it just moves at that pace, which is kind of what we were talking about before. Like, we mentioned how, again, going back to crypto and Web3, but how some of these problems will be solved for some of the African countries long before they will be in the West. Like, there'll be countries in Africa that have completely secure, trustless, digitized governance mechanisms in place, just because. And right now it's not a benefit, but I think it will become a benefit because some governance mechanisms aren't anywhere near what we have now in the UK, for example. So they can start from a different point. They can start from they wouldn't have to replace as much as the UK would have to replace, for example, and they wouldn't move as slowly. And there's more room to innovate in Africa, I think, when it comes to this type of stuff. So I think, which will ultimately make their economies I think just improve at a much more rapid pace and fairer as well. so that you can't again have a dictator or someone at the
seen
helm.
enough dictators and stuff in Africa.
Yeah, and they're really
have them.
Some of the countries there are really trying to change that now, and then it'll be 20 years down the line, and then some other countries will start to catch on and say, hang on a second, how come these African countries have a better governance system in place or political system in place than we do? And that will be, I think, the instigator for the UK's and Americas and things like that.
Right, but they have a different set of rules. A different set of obstacles that they have to deal with. Like there's a lot of corruption. There's a lot of nepotism. Is that how you call not nepotism, but when you get people from your family and your friend circle into positions of power? There was a specific
what the word is.
Anyway. By the way, I think we should make this our last game because we've been rambling.
We've gone off topic for a bit.
It is nepotism, by the way.
Nepotism, yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's a lot of that in Africa.
Oh, well, wait, did I?
You say that, but it's you can't really say that the US or the UK doesn't have corruption and nepotism. It's
every government's corrupt.
Has a boys' club for the entire. I'm not going to say a specific party, but I'll just say both parties have boys' clubs or.
Yeah, aren't they all from Eton or whatever it was called? Eton?
Yeah, exactly, like Eton.
Yeah, they're all from the same university, and there's no low class ruler in Britain. There's no person who came out of a council estate or something who's become prime minister. It's always been someone posh.
Yeah. Well, I guess so. But you do have, for example, London's mayor, not the current one. I don't know the current one. Sadiq Khan is the old one.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
Maybe he is still the current one. I don't know. He's
I think. Yeah.
He's the current one. Yeah.
He's not from a posh.
Yeah, he's not.
So let me just say that it's much easier to get caught doing something bad, like for example, partying in a work meeting during COVID in the UK than it would be in, let's say, countries that have severe corruption issues, because it would just get buried,
Yeah, 100%.
Saying now that I'm saying that, I realize the irony of having an actual pedophile / molester in the fucking Buckingham Palace chilling with his mom, and not getting any sort of repercussions for what he's done. But,
he will.
Yeah, hopefully he will. Oh shit!
Whoa!
I thought I had saved that. But yeah, it's a lot less likely. Is my point, and we shouldn't. Obviously, I hope that Africa and a lot of countries in South America are already doing this. I hope they succeed, because it's gonna be good news for all of us.
Yep.
But I don't take the problems they already have lightly. Usually, if countries have been struggling for hundreds of years, there's a pretty good reason why.
Yeah.
Well, I think.
And it's not because they didn't use crypto.
No, I was going to say that I think we know multiple reasons why African countries have been struggling for hundreds of years.
Yeah, I know two.
Colonization.
One is the UK, the other one is France.
Yeah. And the US.
Yeah. The US is it is sort of you guys' kid,
I guess so. A rebellious child decided to be independent.
It is basically a colony, am I right, Dave?
Yeah, pretty much. One day, take it back.
Yeah. I'm not sure you want it anymore.
No, actually, no. They can keep America. We don't want it.
Yeah, it's like the Zuck threatening us now that he's leaving Europe. He expected a backlash, and everybody's super chill and happy about the whole thing.
I am going to leave this universe. You will never see me again. I hope you humans are happy now.
Man, good luck eating sweet baby rays in the metaverse. Like, I'm 100% sure Mark Zuckerberg himself would not be in the metaverse and would not allow his wife or children in the metaverse. The same way that freaking Steve Jobs didn't let his kids use iPads. Like, they know what they're doing.
Yeah. You know the guy that, I forget his name. I actually don't care about his name, but the CEO of Instagram doesn't let his kids use Instagram.
Of course.
Same with the... I remember seeing something about the Pinterest guy as well, and like there's so much hypocrisy in social media and tech. It just makes you sick.
Yeah.
Wait till you find out if Elon Musk has ever used Dogecoin or Bitcoin for that
or driven
matter.
a Tesla.
Driven a Tesla.
Imagine you ask him, say, "Oh, would you drive a Tesla to work?" He's like, "I wouldn't get in that death trap."
or been in the Hyperloop.
Yeah.
Like in the congestion loop. Man, it's funny.
He was asked about would he go to Mars or go up in a rocket or something.
You mad?
Basically, that was his response. He was like, "It wouldn't be very smart for the CEO of the company to go up in a rocket."
And then Jeffrey Bezos coked out of his mind is like, "Build me the biggest dick you can. I'm flying to space, bitch."
Yeah.
His blue
Origin.
balls origin, whatever it was.
Anyway, and on that cheerful note and humiliating loss, I think we should, close out the podcast. I think we've started. So I'm noticing like a pattern of discussing our 3 topics, and then the final half hour is basically a free for all. Just discussing random shit, which I don't think is bad. Like honestly, I think there's very few.
Cool.
There's very few. Oh, let's see this. Oh, it's there. Go.
Yeah,
I got excited there.
We take the beginning of the podcast really seriously, and then towards the end, it's like,
just give up. Just talk about whatever.
Yeah, there's very few things that I can hold conversations for half an hour anyway. So,
yeah, true.
Anyway, good one, guys. Yeah, that was our take on AI. Again, please do not take any of this seriously. This is all. This is all
please don't sue.
Yeah, this is all a creative performance act. All right, chill.
Yeah.
Bye.
It's been real. Catch you later, guys.
Bye.